If you could go anywhere in the U.S., where would you go? You're listening to the RV Life Podcast. I'm Dan Hunt with my incredible wife, Patty Hunt. She's right over there. Now, today's guests have created a tool that will show you the best RV destinations in the country.
Now, Dan and I have been to about 30 states. I think I lost count. And that's been in the last 3 years of our full-time RV travels. And after seeing so much of the country, we think it's time to continue to see more because there is so much more we are looking forward to exploring. And, you know, it's like you see all these places and there's just more to add to the list. So today's guests, we are so excited to hear some of their suggestions about our next RV destinations.
Now, that sound means it's time for today's fun fact. Our fun fact is brought to you by Open Roads Resorts. With 4 great locations, they've got 2, count them, 2 in Montana. They've got 1 in Idaho, and they've got 1 in Texas. And did we love that campground in Texas?
It was fantastic. We absolutely loved the Texas campground and the beautiful sunsets. Okay, so now today's fun fact. There are 63 national parks, and I just have to say in the middle of this fun fact, another fun fact, Dan and I have been to zero national parks so far. So there are 63 national parks, and there are 428 national park sites, and this is according to nationalparks.org. But if you want to know all things about national parks, you could go to America's National Parks podcast by our really good friend, Jason Eberson.
Now, I'm a little confused here by this. And, again, if it's information that the federal government is putting out, it's got to be confusing. The same guys that does the tax form does this thing. So there's 63 national parks and 428 national park sites. What the heck is the difference between a national park site and a national park?
Well, to the best of my understanding, and I think our guest today will be able to help us with this as well, but to the best of my understanding, parks like Valley Forge Historical Park is one of the 428 national park sites, but it's not deemed a national park. So we're going to get more on that answer as we go along. But I do want to talk about National Park Lake Glacier National Park. Now, that is one of the 63 that you and I are headed to this summer. And while we head there, we've got some great campgrounds that you could stay at, and that is Flathead Lake. Oh, if you want to go to Glacier National Park or Flathead Lake, you could experience it either by going to
Polson Flathead, KOA.
Yes, Open Roads Resorts, Polson Flathead it's called, and it's Lake KOA, and or Polson Motor Coach Resort, and that is a Class A only resort, but it is in the top 10 motor coach, one of the top 10 motor coach resorts in the country, and I'm having difficulty talking today. I'm really excited about today's guest, so I'm can't wait to get them on.
I know. I'm so excited too. And I'm excited that Charlie is like within ears range because I loved playing with Charlie. We were with our guest today at the Tampa RV show about a month ago. And I just loved having Charlie around.
Okay. So explain who Charlie is to our listeners.
Charlie's a snickerdoodle. No, not a snickerdoodle. He's a puppy. He's a puppy, and he's a golden doodle, and he's got the sharpest little teeth.
Yes, he does.
Okay, so we've got to go to break right now, and right after the break, we're going to have our guest today, and we are just so excited about it. But we want to first tell you that you can elevate your water experience with Clear 2O's RV Universal Advanced Solid Carbon Water Filter. The innovative design uses a solid carbon block made from natural, renewable coconut carbon, ensuring your water is not only clean, but eco-friendly.
This powerful filter reduces iron, manganese, chlorine, and other chemicals, while also tackling sediment like sand, silt, and rust. It's perfect for RVers. It improves taste, reduces clogs, and protects your appliances. Plus, it's cost-effective, with replacement filters providing top-notch water purification for just pennies a day.
Now, when we get Randy into the podcast, his first question is, what the hell is manganese? What is that? I know it's in our water, but what is it? I don't know. Get on your computer right now, Randy, and look it up, because I got to tell you, it's coming. It's coming. Now, don't settle for less. Experience the Clear 2O difference now. Clear, fresh water for your RV is just a click away.
The show notes have all of the details for Clear 2O.
This is the RV Life Podcast, and our guests today are explorers. They're RV travelers. They're hikers. They're kayakers. And they've got Charlie. They also have a podcast, and they're photographers. They're from a small town in Kentucky. They travel with 3 pets, a boxer, Zoe, a cat, Gus, and my favorite, Charlie. I call him a snickerdoodle, but he's really a golden doodle. They travel the country in their Winnebago journey and have documented their adventures through word and their camera lens. They have created RV Destinations magazine for the traveler and adventurer. The magazine makes its readers want to get out and explore new places. They do all that, and they take a pretty damn good picture as well for their readers to explore. They are RV Destinations magazine.
And they are our good friends, Randy and Caly Beheimer. Welcome to the RV Life Podcast.
How you guys doing?
Hi, guys.
Good. We're good.
Yeah, thanks for having us on the show today.
Thank you for both being here. So, creating a magazine, I can't even imagine what that would be like, where to start. And we are talking about RV Destinations magazine. So can you tell our listeners about your conversation when you were creating the magazine? Like, how did this all start?
Yeah, I like to joke that we must be out of our minds, first off, because we had no experience in the magazine industry or publishing, but we're like, hey, why not? So
yeah, we learned the hard way. We made it about every mistake you can make as a publisher, and then we call it pivot. We pivoted from that mistake.
It just gave us opportunities for growth opportunities.
Yeah, so we learned a lot. But, I'm really sad that you didn't ask me about the manganese, because I looked it up. I was ready for that question.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to bring you the manganese in a minute here.
Okay. Yeah,
it's a chemical element. Its symbol is Mn. Its atomic number is 25, and it's hard, brittle, silvery metal, often found in minerals in combination with iron. So anyway, I've found in
and we don't want it in our water.
We don't want it in the water.
We don't want to drink it.
We don't want it in our bodies.
And not to be confused with magnesium, which is what we said the one time. But so let's continue talking about the magazine.
If starting a magazine without any experience isn't hard enough, you two nuts also started a podcast without a whole heck of a lot of experience as well.
We didn't hear the rest of the story about the magazine. So,
so
go ahead, take it away.
All right,
we're going to distracted.
Yeah, we're going to pivot.
So I'm going to let Caly tell the story. But what I want to say is I've got a bad habit, me personally, just jumping in and figuring out later. And so let me set the backstage. And Caly is usually my
crusher of dreams.
She calls it crusher of dreams, but I call it, she brings me, we're yin and yang. She brings me back to earth sometimes. And so this might have been one of those things where we just jumped in like, we'll figure it out as we go. So I'll let her tell the quick version of our story of how it all came to be.
Yeah, I mean, we've been RVing for 12 years. So it's something that we've always, we've done since we've been together. We love and enjoy. And we used to get some other magazines out there in the industry. And I was saving this big stack of them because there was usually one destination each one of these magazines. And I looked at Randy one day and I'm like, babe, we are going to take these magazines and we're going to take this destination and we're going to plan all these trips around it. Like, where are we going to go next? What are we going to go see? There's so many cool things to see out there. And we were out hiking one day and talking about this. And we're like, man, wouldn't it be great if there was a magazine out there dedicated just to destinations for RVers to go check out? And we both looked at each other and said, well, why don't we do that?
Yeah, it's good because I've been shooting for about 33 years. I've been shooting photography, and Cally's been a writer for many, many years. She also picked up the camera when we met about 12 years ago. And so it just made natural sense. What if we find writers that have great ability to take pictures? Because, we live in a very visual society today, right? We all Instagram world and everything we are. So why don't we fill a magazine full of beautiful images, let the images tell the story, where they'd be well written as well,
Mm-hmm.
but let the images tell the majority of the story.
Yep. So that's how we got our start, is just we realized there really wasn't another publication out there dedicated just to destinations and campgrounds and campground reviews. And we decided, heck, why not? We love RVing. Let's do this. This is something we would love to have. So, and we've literally from that day one, and we started talking about this probably back in 2018, launched in 2020. But since day one, we have always said we want to give our readers and subscribers what we ourselves are looking for as RVers. What do we find important? What would we enjoy? And that has resonated well with all of our subscribers.
That's great. Just incredible. Now, I got to ask a question that's kind of off track a little bit.
Is there actually a track here? That's what I'm wondering.
How's Charlie doing?
How's Charlie?
It's like the old joke, put 4 podcasters in a room and see what happens. The world blows up. Yeah. But have you ever gone to the printing press and watched your magazine being printed, like, the old newspaper rolls where there's 100 miles of paper going down a line, and seen your paper or your magazine being printed?
So
Funny, you should ask.
I feel like you were tipped off because the timing of this question is remarkable. So we are actually switching printers. We are now going with our print version of our magazine is now at the level that we're starting to reach out to but we've identified one of the big boy printers, national printers. And I just did a site visit last week to the site and got to watch it. Well, I didn't get to watch ours magazine roll through. I did get to see the whole process, and it is mind-boggling, that process.
It really is.
So you've seen it, Dan? It's incredible.
I have seen it. I've been in that scenario before. So
yeah, so they invited us out. So our first run with this new printer is going to happen in March, and they invited us out to come watch it. But unfortunately, we're going to be out of town, so we're not going to be able to go see it. But we really would love to.
Oh, you're going on a cruise. I feel so bad for you. No, I'm just kidding.
You're not going on a cruise.
We're going to Africa.
Africa.
Oh, you're going. I feel so bad for you.
Yeah. I feel bad for you. But,
it's tough.
But,
it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough work. So,
hey, wait. I got a question.
Shoot.
Where's Charlie going?
Charlie stays home. We're hoping her older sister watches her.
Yeah, we're going to see how that goes. Gus is going to be in charge of the house. Gus the cat, and then
Gus the cat.
He's got to take care of the dogs.
We've got a very, very good sitter that stays in the house. So she comes and brings all her stuff and stays in our home and watches the animals. Takes great care of them.
Oh, okay. So Charlie will be taking care of you. Good.
Very well.
Okay.
I want Charlie.
So it's not enough to start a magazine that's a difficult feat. I mean, let's face it, it is. And again, I would have no idea where to start. But then you decided to start a podcast. Tell us about that. How long ago was that? Why?
Sure, I can take that one. So yeah, if we didn't have enough stuff going on in our life, now mind you, we run 2 other businesses on top of the magazine, the podcast. So half the time we don't know what we're doing. But if we ever sound scatterbrained, that's probably the reason. But yeah, so we had no it wasn't even on a radar screen, a podcast. And we attended the York, PA RV show last, what was that? I'm looking at you,
March.
Yeah, last March. And one of the attendees of that show came up to me and said, "Oh, you guys are the ones with a podcast, aren't you?" And I'm like, "No, we don't have a podcast." And
that would be us.
Yeah. Well, it might have been who they were thinking about it. And they were like, "Well, you should." And they walked away, and I started thinking, my wheels started turning, which often happens. And that's when Callie knows, hey, it's time to.
I'm like, oh, we're going to spend money, aren't we?
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. We've got all the microphones. I've been in a band all my life. I've been playing guitar for 12 years, or since I was 12. And so I've got all the equipment. I've got the computer. And guess what? We've got 26 writers that write for us. We've got all the content we need. Why wouldn't we do it? And so that's kind of where it started. So that was in March, and we released our first podcast April 4th.
Yep.
So, I mean, we put it together pretty quickly.
Wow, you're coming up on your 1-year anniversary of that.
Yeah, and we're actually thinking about going to video. This is the first time we've announced this, but we were just talking to our editor a couple hours ago, and we're thinking about going to video. Of course, everybody wants to see Callie's face more so than mine, but I understand my role in this.
Get behind me, babe. Get behind me.
That's right.
There you go. As long as you both know where your lanes are.
Right.
It sounds
Exactly.
Good.
Exactly.
Sounds good.
That's a really big question for podcasters right now.
Right.
And we just came from what they call PodFest, which is the convention for podcasters. It was in Orlando right after the Tampa show. So we just went to PodFest. We'd love to have you guys come with us next year.
Yeah, we'd love that.
But that is probably the question of the year for podcasters. Do you go to video as well? And we have not taken that step yet, although we are on a platform where I can see you guys and you guys can see us. Unfortunately, listeners, you can't see them because we don't put out a video podcast.
I'll take a couple pictures. That's about, since all it is some talking heads going on here. And unfortunately, we're only seeing Randy. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that's a conversation we could have after. But talking about asking, those difficult questions. So the question we get asked all the time that is so tough to answer is, and we're going to ask you guys, put you on the spot because you're our guest and we could do that.
Yeah, put us on the spot.
Yeah, put you on the spot. What's your favorite place to go in the country?
Oh, dang.
That's a tough thing to answer. And we had Joel Holland from Harvest Host on our show, and I'm going to kind of go with what he said. He said, that changes. It depends on your feel for that day. What you're feeling at that moment, and that's
time of year.
The time of
what's
year,
going
right?
On in life.
I mean, I love the Pacific Northwest a lot. I love the Yellowstone area a lot. Glacier, as you mentioned earlier, that's amazing. But
I mean, Key West has become like our wintertime second home. I mean, I love Key West, and
if you're asking me where in the world I would love to live and spend the rest of my life, if I had a choice, money was no object, and not having to work the rest of my life. For me, it would probably be Montana. Callie's going to say something
Randy would be
opposite.
alone. He would be very alone in Montana, all by himself.
Kelly, you could be with me because
perfect, Patty.
Too cold in the winter.
Oh, way too cold. That's it's just not fun.
I mean that question's
me either.
Yeah, that question's kind of like, which of your 3 kids do you like better?
Well, that's easy.
Randy, that's such a great way to put it. And I want to
Charlie.
Stay focused, Dan. Stay with us. I want to continue down this road because it is a question. If any question we get asked that question more than any other question. Yeah. And to your point, like, yes, Randy, I want to go to Montana, but I want to go there in the middle of the summer. I want to be in Yellowstone when it's warm. But to your point, like, I spent just about all of my life in the Philadelphia area. So I know winter and I know summer, and, you have the greenery and fall leaves. And then when I spent 3 years out in Nevada in Las Vegas, and it's Nevada in Las Vegas, it's a whole different feel that I learned to love the desert and the mountains.
Right.
It's just, so to your point, like, people keep asking that, and you're right. I love that analogy. And we have 5 kids. It's like picking the favorite. Today, one might be the favorite, but next week it might be somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been to all 50 states. Callie has only a handful of states left. We've been to like 40 different countries. Callie's been to like 48 different countries. And so we're pretty well traveled. And I got to be honest, the United States has some of the most beautiful places in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, we really do. And it's sad to see a lot of people that don't take advantage of that just does not, go outside of their hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was me. And if nothing else comes out of this podcast, those words that people need to explore this country. I always, as a kid and even as an adult, thought, oh, you have to go outside the country. And I've been to several places. I never really realized until we started RVing the beauty in this country. And for all of our listeners, that is number one, something that people really need to get out of their own backyard and see the amazing things. And again, even if it's not a national park, let's talk about, there's so many different things. Yes, there are the national parks. Dan and I are committed in 2024 to
visit your
at
first
least one.
Well, let's see how that goes. We're setting goals.
Now, I do have an answer for you with a question about, the difference of all that. So, so a national park has to be approved by Congress. And there's national monuments out there that the president can appoint. So the president can say, wherever your RV is, I'm going to declare this a national monument, but it takes an act of Congress to make it a park. And then, of course, you have national forest and, all these different protected natural resources. And so that's why there's only 63 national parks.
But it goes further, too, because a national park will contain a variety of resources and usually encompasses a large land or water area.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's true.
Mm-hmm. I know it's true. I'm reading it.
So, they're both researching as we're talking. Okay,
that's right.
I rolled that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I rolled that off the top of my head. She looked that up. So
sure.
She's the beautiful one. I'm the smart one.
That's right. There's one in every group.
Wow. Okay,
that was actually a joke.
You make a good team. You complete each other. You make a great team.
We do.
So yes, great information there. So whether we go to a national park or a national park site, we're going to start counting those. So thank you for clarifying that for people.
Sure.
And
so
again,
I'm gonna go completely off our.
Okay.
We have what we call a roadmap to do a podcast. So we kind of cover topics that we know we want to cover, but then. For me, things come up and we have conversations and things are said, and I just want to ask more questions. So I'm gonna throw a whammy at you. We have not talked about this at all, but I'm kind of taking an informal survey.
Okay.
You know the maps that you put on the side of your RV and shows you all the states that you went to?
Yes.
When do you get to put a state on your map on the side of your RV?
Randy and I have differing opinions.
We've argued about this.
Patty and I do too.
We have.
That is hilarious.
So my theory is you need to at least sleep in that state. Okay. So it's like whether it's a truck stop or Walmart, Harvest Host location, campground, if you spend at least one night in that state, you can put it on the map. Randy's like, if we're within spitting distance, then it counts.
Callie, that's a great thought, but it sucks.
Okay.
All right. So
Dan
let me use
on Team Randy.
Yeah. So let me use an analogy, and hopefully you won't cut this out. And hopefully, I know this. I'm going to keep this PG. So
okay.
We don't cut anything.
We don't cut anything.
Okay, I'm going to keep this.
PG.
I apologize to the listeners out there, but I'm going to keep it PG. Okay, Callie.
Randy.
All right. So if you date a guy, and you sleep with him, you say you dated the guy. If you date a guy and don't sleep with him, do you say that guy didn't exist?
He did not. Wow.
I mean, did he just
it
not
depends.
exist?
Did he buy me flowers and did we have a nice dinner?
Yeah, if your wheels roll across that state, you put a sticker on that thing, and that's the way to period. I'll fight that up to the Supreme Court.
See, Randy, I'm kind of with you, but my thought is if I'm rolling through a state, and there has been times where we have just gone through the corner of Texas, So we were, maybe 100 miles or 50 miles in Texas. But my theory is if I can get a ticket in that state, then I'm putting that state on the side of my RV.
Amen. I got your back on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So the debate continues on.
It does.
And we would love to start this conversation on our social media. So if you want to reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Nothing, just Facebook and Instagram.
Just Facebook.
I know you want to add some others.
Yeah.
RV Life Podcast, let us know. Dan has been asking this because he wants more and more people to agree with him.
Yes.
So, Randy, you agreed. Kelly, you and I are together on this one, and the debate continues on.
Well, that's because women are smarter than men. That's why.
I honestly think it goes for like men. With boats, it's a very similar thing. Like I've got a 27.5-foot boat, but if you put the outboard engine and the windlass system on the front, it makes it about 32 feet. And so whenever someone says, how big's your boat? I say, well, it's 32 feet. And I'm not lying. but when I'm renting,
we do that with RVs too.
Right. But when I'm renting like dock space and they charge by the foot, I say I got 27.5 feet. So,
there you go.
I feel it's down that same road.
Yes.
Well, I guess my question then, when Callie comes and lives with us and you're out in a field in Montana, okay, does Montana get to go on our RV? Because Callie and Charlie are living with us, man. I got to tell you.
I'll bring the Montana sticker with me.
There you go.
That's awesome.
There you have it.
That's awesome.
Well, we've made plans for this coming year, and we have found a company that has 2 products that makes RV travelers so simple, and it will save you money.
Yes, and the Open Roads Innovative Tolling Transponder, it's a mouthful, is absolutely incredible. This toll transponder works in all 48 states. So those of you who want to hit those 48 states, it will work in all of them. It is $24 a year. And the best part is their concierge service. So when you go through that state and you get a toll violation or that, thing in the mail that you had a problem, they will handle it through their concierge service. Their customer support will help you navigate through the process.
Now, Open Roads, they didn't stop there. That toll transponder is one of the most incredible products that I have come across in the RV space. But they also have what they call the Open Roads Fuel Card. Now, it's free to sign up, and it has saved us hundreds of dollars this year alone. What this card does is it allows you to buy diesel fuel at truck stops and utilize the power of group purchasing to save just a little bit of money. So I got to tell you, the Open Roads Fuel Card, we love it.
We do. And sometimes that little bit of money is a lot of money because we have a 100-gallon tank, and even at 5 cents a gallon, we're saving. We saved well over $400 last year. Well over that.
Right.
So that's great.
We better save $400 if we got Callie coming to live with us.
Yeah,
it's going to cost us a bunch.
Yes. so as we travel, it's great because I take the Open Roads app while Dan is driving the RV. I open the app, I find the truck stop, and I can see exactly how much money we are going to save on fuel.
If you like saving money and making your travel easier, you can't afford to not have the Open Roads Fuel Card and the Open Roads Innovative Tolling Transponders. Links are in the show notes below.
And of course, we got to put our guests on the spot. We didn't discuss this beforehand, but when you guys traveled across the country, what was that like with the toll passes? Because we've had some nightmares.
Well, we have one, and it's part of the family. It's a Sun Pass, and it only covers a small handful of states. What's great is when it's in the RV, it catches everything in the RV, but I always forget to take it out and put it in our toad. So then we're out in the toad, and guess what? Magically, 6 months later in the mail, we get a toll invoice. Oh, forgot to put the transponder in the toad again.
Right. And that's a really good point, because not only does this one cover all 48 states, but you only need the one toll transponder.
It covers both of our vehicles.
Covers both. So we both Randy Caly and Dan and I have Class A. We have the transponder in the Class A window. And when the toad is on, or when we're just driving the toad.
Why do you call our Jeeps a toad?
Because that's what they call it. Toad. Anyway,
it's a Jeep.
When our Jeep is driving alone, we don't need to worry about the toll pass. It's fantastic. When they told us about this, we were crazy excited about it.
Yeah, we've got to look into that, because I'm like every man out there. You know, I want to get to the destination, and I watch all those cars fly by, and I've got to pull over and get change out of my pocket. So. Yeah. So I've definitely, we need to look into that.
We do.
Yes.
Well, you can look at the show notes of this show when you're reading all about yourselves, and there's the link for it right there.
Perfect.
Perfect. You got it. And it's the same price or less than your other toll passes that you're carrying. So we like that too.
Now, having a YouTube channel and having a podcast and being out and about and public speakers, and we talk on RV travel and things to do with RV travel all over the country, we talked about that number one question we get asked. What's your favorite place in the country? Now, the number two question that we get asked is, how do you decide to go where you're going to go next? Now, Patty and I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with this question, because we have what we call our hard dates that we have to be at: the Tampa RV show,
sure,
the Hershey RV show, the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. And if you haven't ever been to that one, you're missing something. And now we're adding another hard date into our list of hard dates, which is the Music City Motorhome Expo.
Brand new this
year, but they're looking for this to go on forever and ever. You'll be able to go into this Music City Motorhome Expo and drive the next year's models.
So yeah, the 2025, and
every manufacturer will be there. It's a manufacturer show. Every manufacturer will be there.
Motorhomes only.
Yeah, motorhomes only. But it is really, really something. Randy, have you ever been able to take test drive at any of the RV shows that you've been at?
Not at the RV shows, no.
Well, this show is completely different. They've rented a whole fairground. They got a test track out there. And guess what? Anything that you want to buy, you're thinking about buying another Winnebago Journey and you want a 2025? Well, guess what? It'll be there, and you'll be able to not only sit in it, you'll be able to drive in it.
As well as talk to all the manufacturers, sit with them, be with them for 4 straight days, eat together, talk together, have fun, excitement, entertainment. We're really excited about this event. Now, I got to ask, Caly, do you drive the RV?
I do. Yes, I do.
Oh.
I love you, Caly.
You made me look bad there. I thought you were
sorry. I don't get to drive very often, if that helps. Randy's usually like, no, babe, it's fine. I'll keep driving.
But it's not because I don't trust you driving. It's just I like to drive. I enjoy driving.
No, I know what he likes to do is sit in the driver's seat. Hey, babe, will you grab me something to eat? Hey, babe, can you get me something to drink? Hey, babe, will you grab my laptop and look up? Hey, babe, will you read these emails? That's why I don't get to drive.
That's all true.
Well, I get the same thing without the hey babe. I get the same thing. And I do not drive the RV. And with our new RV that everybody knows we are getting a new RV, I will be driving, and I'll be able to test drive these RVs because Angie's going to teach me how to drive. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. I do want to get back to. So you guys also, when Dan says hard dates, and he said, places we have to go, we don't have to go. We decide where we want to go, when we want to go. But they are
they're commitments
dates.
to us, yeah.
Commitment dates, absolutely. And so I know you guys have commitment dates as well.
Right.
How then do you choose in between those commitment dates,
Well, there's the places that we want to go.
You want to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Reno Air Show was something that I wanted to go to. You were like, what are you talking about? I don't want to go listen to airplanes for 5 days. But we went to that's because we wanted to go to the Reno Air Show. But then take it past that. How do you fill the in-betweens in?
Right.
Is there a thought process? Is there a rule?
So the
yes and no. Nope. My turn.
Whoa.
No, what's
We'll
been
just shut Randy off.
this is
right.
a microcosm of our marriage right
all
here.
the time,
what you're hearing
all the time. I'm like, but what's really interesting is that we'll start off with plans for the year. We have those hard plans, places we have to be because of the magazine. And we'll start peppering in other locations. But then for me, what happens is we'll have people on our podcast or articles that are being submitted to the magazine. And now I'm like, well, I want to go here now. I want to go there now. We need to add that on the list. And so honestly, that's helped us a lot, add in things when we're kind of like, well, what do we do up in Michigan? And then miraculously something pops up. We're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that was in Michigan.
Yeah, and not to give a shameless plug to the magazine, but we do get a lot of inspiration out of the magazine. We really do. Well, again, we've got 26 writers. They're based all over the country. Got 2 up in Canada that write for us in Canada. And we'll read these articles and look at the beautiful pictures and be like, I want to go there. I've never even heard of this place. And so we a lot of times we'll do that. Well, hey, we're going to be in Pennsylvania. Let's just go to the Blues Farm Festival up in Briggsville, Pennsylvania. And so while the magazine does dictate a lot of the places where we go, we're a lot of times using the magazine to fill in between. So, we do.
Okay, so now
and I wanted to talk too. Yeah, you guys are just like us, so we're going to fight over who's going to talk. Go ahead, Dan. I'll let you go first. This is real life here for our listeners.
Sure.
This is real life.
Well, I'm just going to put in a shameless plug for RV Destinations magazine, because RV Destinations magazine really helps when we have to go for instance, we're right outside of Orlando, Florida right now, and we need to go to Gaffney, South Carolina, where Freightliner lives. And what's in between those two places? A lot of I-95. But if we go in and just feather through some of the magazines that I don't know how we got so many copies of your magazine on board our RV, but we do have quite a few copies of it. And it really helps. It's like, oh, wow, that looks cool. Let's go there. So I think that RV Destinations magazine, for full-timers who are looking to fill in places, I think it gives me a visual, and a lot of the time it gives me a really good story about these locations.
And I'm raising my hand because I want to add something here.
I see you over there raising your hand.
Yes, Patty, you may go.
Because for full timers, it is so helpful for us. I think it's equally, if not more helpful for the part timer, because they have a limited time to do things. And when they could look through this magazine and we could all go and find the national parks.
Right.
But we're going to go to Yellowstone to have, an article from the magazine that points out things that, maybe not commonly pointed out, but also those, what I call in between destinations, the hidden gems.
Right.
That's kind of what I love doing. That's why, so Dan and I talked about having gone to no national parks. It quite, wasn't by accident. We just find these hidden gems that are just amazing places. And I know the magazine has shown us some of those as well. And then with the pictures and the way you write, I feel like I'm there and now I got to go. We got to get here. So yes, shameless plug for the magazine.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, it's such a valuable tool.
And that's what we've been hoping for. When we built this thing, that's what we were hoping for. We're RVers ourselves. We were like, what would we want? And, early on we had some, I don't know if they were young or not. I assume they were. I make that assumption, but it may not be true. But they're like, why do I need a magazine? All I got to do is Google. And it's like, well, in the magazine, we'll write about the big destinations, but we focus a lot on the hidden gems. And if you don't know what those hidden gems are, how are you going to know what to Google it?
Right.
Like if you didn't know about Sunapee, New Hampshire, which is a place I'd never heard of until it was in our magazine, how are you going to know to Google that? And so
exactly.
And I would like to plug back the RV Life Pro Trip Wizard too. And I don't want to start off anything early, but we have used that quite frequently to kind of tell us what to do in between as well. So I feel like both your technology and RV Life's technology and our magazine make a great pair together. They really do.
Right. You're talking about the campground reviews.
Right.
That's part of RV Life. Yeah.
Well, not just campground reviews. When you pull into a campground like we're here, I looked on the app the other day and I'm like, wow, look at this. There's like 5 other amusement parks besides Disney right down the street.
Right.
And that was kind of what that's what I was kind of referring to, is just seeing like, hey, the biggest ball of twine is between here and our next destination. Let's pull over and look at it, kind of thing.
Right, and that's a thing. It's actually
it is a thing.
People didn't know, and I think this is the cool part of what Dan and I do, and what you guys do, being able to put this information out to people. I talk to a lot of people. I feel like I'm a mentor now, for lack of a better word, because I talk to a lot of people that are either just starting out, or I have like 3 women I feel like I'm coaching through the beginning stages of getting out on the road full time. And these are things that, you could Google certain things, but these are things you don't necessarily know about or see. So, for example, we stayed outside of Sedona. Now, Sedona, when you climb the mountain, whatever they call them, those different areas, that's cool. Everybody knows about them. Mm-hmm. But what we loved is outside of Sedona, Cottonwood, Arizona, this place called Alcantara. And one of the most amazing places we've been to. Now, it's a winery and vineyard. We don't even really drink. We have nothing against it, but we don't drink. But this was just an amazing place that you can't just necessarily Google it and find it.
Right. So how many places in the world can you go to a vineyard where they're growing grapes and they set up a massage table in the middle of the vineyard through the grape rows, and you can have a massage in the middle of the grape vineyard?
No, I would do that if they could put my wine glass underneath of me with a long straw so that I could drink the wine in the vineyard and have a massage. That would be epic.
Girlfriend, I am sure they will work it out for you. They are some amazing people.
They will actually bathe you in that wine if you want it.
Oh, yes.
It is just incredible. And they have horseback riding through the area and Jeep rides through the area. And they have the boats. I mean, we did a video there where we took the kayaks out to a place called the Convergence, where these 2 rivers come together. And it's just invigorating. I mean, you walk away from there that night. I did not sleep that entire night because I was just so, wound up by what we did that day. It was it's
beautiful.
It's area. More than incredible.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful.
Yeah, and there's another one I want to mention here, and I don't know if you have any articles on it yet. But if you don't, I'll be writing one soon. It's called Schlegman, Arizona. And it is one of the coolest little hidden gems in the world.
It's an old ghost town, right?
It is the home of Cars. That's where the Disney guys were driving through one day, and they found this town called Schlegman, Arizona. And
they got the inspiration from
from the Cars, and all the, the Lightning McQueen and the real car is there.
Yeah.
And the cop car is there. I don't know what the name of it is, but boy, I fell there one day.
I was going to say, this is where I get to make fun. Kelly, you and I are a lot alike. So we were shooting video while we were there, and Dan was being all excited because it really was cool to see these cars that you saw in the movie from Disney. So he decides to do an acting scene where he pops out, but he did a tumble. He actually fell. I thought he was kidding, and I'm there laughing, the camera shaking, but he actually fell. So you could see that clip. It's a short on our YouTube channel. Exploring through our lens. I got
we'll put a link. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. But I do have to say that it's out in the middle of the desert, and it rains out in the middle of the desert quite a bit. And what happens in these older towns is the water kind of goes underneath. So I hit a spot, and there was nothing but the sand on top that looked fine. And, there was like an 8-inch dip there. So I went down pretty hard.
Yeah. You actually tumbled.
I actually tumbled,
because he is he was trained as a stuntman, so he actually did a tumble like this.
Oh my gosh.
Did you get this videotaped?
You got to.
Oh yeah, it's on videotape.
No, I got it.
I got it on video.
Oh, yeah, there's a video.
You got to text that to me. I'd love to see it. I love to post it on our social media.
There you go.
We need to add some music to it.
So Slegman is in.
Oh, we did. I did.
Okay, Slegman is on Route 66. I was getting that confused with something else.
Right.
Now, they really could be a ghost town because there's only 456 people that live there.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
But
And ghost towns, there are some places. Have you guys ever been and written about a ghost town?
Yeah.
We've been to a couple of them.
Jerome, which is actually right outside of Sedona.
Yeah, but that's not really a ghost town.
Well,
I mean,
it was, but
there.
now it's up and coming. But we did the one. What was the one I'm pointing at you? Like you should know as I'm pointing at you. It's supposed to fill your brain. We took Zoe and Bella there, and it was like that old ghost town in the middle of, where was that? Like around Moab.
In the middle of Orlando, it's called the
Exactly.
There was that one place that one time.
I was thinking about Terlingua. I think there was a ghost town down in Terlingua.
Yeah, there was a ghost town there.
But we've there's a couple really good ones, pretty famous ones in Arizona, and we have not written about it in the magazine, nor have Callie and I been there, that I would really love to go see. And the name's slipping my mind. That's when you said Sligman. I thought that was it, but it's not it, obviously. But I have to look into that.
They've got a couple great ice cream parlors there. I'll tell you that. Patty pigged out on the ice cream there. But maybe that's something we can hook up next year after Tampa. We could shoot across the country.
Yeah.
And go to we did a video at a ghost town. I don't remember the name of the ghost town,
Ghost Town.
Nelson.
Was it in Nevada?
Oh, cool.
No, it was in Nevada. Nelson, Nevada. So we go into this old barn, and Patty opens up a freezer, and there's a dead rattlesnake in there, frozen.
Oh my gosh!
Exactly.
So literally a dead body.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It was horrifying.
That's how I would start my story next time.
Yes. Yes. Right.
So we went to this ghost town. I opened up the freezer door, and I found a dead body.
So we're really thinking, we're really considering going from Tampa straight out to Quartzsite next year. We haven't made up that mind because not to give any more plugs, but Escapees have a big event in January.
They do.
And so we're thinking about attending that this year. So we're thinking about going out to Quartzsite and then hanging in the area for the X-Bash. Have you guys been out to Quartzsite?
And some of our friends and former guests on the RV Life podcast, the Border Hookups, are going to be the band.
Are they? I think that changes each year. So I don't know. Again, a plug for the Border Hookups.
Yeah.
No problem. A plug for Escapees. We love Escapees.
Yeah.
It would definitely be cool for us to get together and do an event together. In Tampa, we were so busy at that show.
It was insane.
Maybe when
I lost my voice.
Maybe
I knew you were parked right. You were parked right next to us, and we barely ever saw each other.
Yeah,
we did give you a ride the one day because for people going to Tampa, it's a lot of walk.
So I just come up with a great idea. So we'll leave Tampa, and you'll be in your new coach. So we're just going to let you flat tow our coach.
Yes, perfect.
So
there you go.
We'll get it rigged up. You might get 3 miles to a gallon, but it's a sacrifice we're willing to take.
Well, with the Open Roads fuel card, at least we'll save up fuel.
Well, that's right. See,
between the two of us, we should have enough sponsors to sponsor this trip, so we shouldn't have to pay anything. I would think.
Right. I think we might be on the news at that point.
Yes, definitely have a lot of pictures on social media.
I don't know.
RV towing you.
I think he had that backwards. Randy's the one that said he likes to drive.
He did.
I did.
Oh,
I know.
yeah,
He liked to drive.
You did, babe. You kind of walked into that
I
one.
like to sit in the back of the coach with Patty and Carly.
Yeah,
okay.
Way more than I like to drive.
We're going all kinds of down the wrong road. And again,
Well, I got Charlie too, though.
You have Charlie. That's
yes.
right.
Yeah, it sounds like a
There
plan.
you go.
We'll do it.
It does. And this is what RVing's about, right?
Yeah.
Like getting together with people on the road, finding new places, sharing places with each other. I love this. And Dan and I have often, I'm sure you guys have too, sat around the campfire talking about places and where you want to go and how cool certain areas of the country are. So exciting. And then when I get off a call like this, I go on my computer and on, my RV trip planning, RV trip wizard, and I start saying, damn, we could go here. And, because we're working our way north from
Right.
Florida. And, it's like, but we could stop and go here. And Dan's like, that's 340 miles out of the way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to be reined back in.
We're pretty excited this year because we've got we're going to do the Tulip Fest up in Holland, Michigan this year.
Mhm.
We're going to go up
Ooh.
through North Shore up in Minnesota this year. So we're going in a completely different direction than we normally do. But we also are going to be at the Briggs Farm Blues Festival
Yeah.
in July.
They invited us out for that.
It's a big 3-day event for blues
Ooh.
people. And then we're going to be doing Lancaster too.
I'm
this
so
year.
excited. I have been begging for Amish country for pretty much forever. I'm obsessed with the Amish.
Wait,
I'm just
I
going to
gotta
put it
tell
out
you
there.
something.
Hold the phone.
Uh-huh.
Hold the phone.
Yeah,
Me. When are you going to be in Lancaster?
I think we're trying to plan it around the Hershey show because we're all going to be there for that. So I think we're going to try to hit up
gonna
there
be
before.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We're going to be there.
Yeah. So we've got the Briggs Festival, which is really close to Hershey, and that's going to be in July. And then we, of course, have the Hershey
Okay.
show in October.
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 September.
And so we've got September. So we've
Yeah.
got to figure out whether we're going to go to Lancaster in September or July. Probably makes better sense to go in September.
It's probably
we're going to be
September.
right there.
Yeah. Because July, we've got our grandson that we're
August
taking.
Yes. So we have grandkids in the Philadelphia area. So we spend time in Pennsylvania. So we'll be in Lancaster. We did an Amish village, like a tour.
Yeah.
It was amazing, like the things that you find out being there. So yeah, we'll have to plan our dates
We would love
and get together.
That would be
sounds great.
incredible.
Other than not being able to take pictures of the people there,
Yeah.
it was one of our top videos over on our YouTube channel, Exploring Through Our Lens, when we went to the Amish homestead, right?
I think it's
Yeah.
on Exploring Through Our Lens. I can't remember.
And another great thing that we did there, and then we just had a great time, just, shamelessly self-promoting our stuff, but we went to the Turkey Hill ice cream factory.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness!
nice.
And we got to make our own ice
Did you
cream.
Do you
really?
guys
Oh
like
my God.
ice cream?
Oh, I
Yeah.
love ice cream.
Do you like
I
ice
love
cream?
ice
I
cream.
want to do
goodness.
that.
We went. They invited us to come in, and we went. I was like, okay, this is something cute for kids. And then they have this ice cream lab where you learn about ice cream and make your own ice cream and add toppings. Oh my goodness, I would do it again because
Yeah.
it was so. I ate a pint of ice cream. They give you each a pint of ice cream. I ate the whole pint.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Wow. So what was the
Yeah.
what was
Yeah.
the coolest place you saw in 2023? Let's narrow it down. So what was the coolest place
Wow.
or coolest thing you
Wow.
did in the RV in
Ooh.
2023?
It's
Wait, Randy, this is a G-rated show. What was the coolest thing we did in our RV?
Second coolest thing.
Well, let's say
Yeah, there you
let's say
go.
destination.
Good save,
What
Kelly.
was the coolest destination in 2023 you guys went to?
2023 was, I got to say, was kind of tough because in January, right before Tampa, I had to go. I was called and went. I didn't have to, but I chose to be with my mom, and then I spent 6+ months with her. So it was a little tough year. And then we got back out on the road. We spent a lot of time in Pennsylvania, and then we went to Hershey. And we love the RV shows, but what is the coolest?
Probably meeting
I'm
me at
just
the Hershey
wrecking.
show. That was probably the high point,
There,
right?
that's it.
There you go. Meeting you at the
But-
Hershey
Or
show.
But I
meeting
gotta
Charlie.
be honest.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was at Tampa. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it I mean, let's be real, and again, Brandy's selfishly promoting himself right now. I love it because that is the best part of RV life.
Yeah.
I mean, not to sound cliche, but that is such a big part of what and why we do what we do.
I think those naturals. Well, with the springs, we went to this place in Florida. It was a state park, and there's natural springs there that have a Kelly Park. It was called, and there's a video over on the YouTube channel about it. But I got to tell you, it was incredible.
That's a good pick. I couldn't think of that one, but yes, I would.
But also, I think the other thing was going to Crystal River and being able to swim with the manatees.
I did that too. That was so awesome.
Yep. That's a highlight. And again, here's things that I've seen on TV. I spent a lot of time in Sarasota. My ex was from, they had a place in Sarasota. And so I spent a lot of time there, and you see manatees as you're on a boat. And that's what many years ago. And I didn't think a whole lot of it. When we went, Crystal River was amazing. Just walking out on a pier and seeing them, or getting in and swimming with them. Yep. I got to say that was a highlight.
That's an amazing area. It really is.
Once in a lifetime experience. And then, this is going to be very commercial, but Patty and I decided this year to buy annual passes to Disney World.
Ooh.
And
wow.
So we've been down here since 2 weeks before Tampa. We had a little mini family reunion down here. So we had, I think, 15 people. Yeah. So we took 15 people. How many grandkids?
5 were grandkids.
5 were grandkids. Okay. So what was really one of my highlights of the year is right before Tampa, we're sitting in the RV at 4:00 in the afternoon and said, let's just go over to Magic Kingdom tonight, just for us, not for the kids, not for the grandkids, not for the family, let's just go for us. We didn't have a plan. We didn't have an expectation. We walked into, I think we went to Magic Kingdom that night, and we just walked up Main Street and looked in the stores, and we got on a couple rides and did this. It was so relaxed, just a completely different experience going with a zillion people to Disney.
Or being in a rush.
Right.
Having your 3-day, 4-day, 7-day pass.
Right.
And, oh my gosh, I got to cover everything. And to your point, and again, we're lucky to be residents of Florida and get the residence pass, which is very affordable. But as you travel, to also narrow down, like, how many places am I going to go see? So you're not making yourself crazy.
Sure.
Go. We talk about enjoying the journey.
Yep. So we probably my favorite place, we went out to Utah for a month in 2023, and I love Utah. And one of the coolest.
Don't tell me you could go out into a field and stand by yourself.
That's right.
I can't do that. But we got to boondock by the salt flats, and the salt. There had been a lot of rain, and so there was this small little glaze of reflection on the salt dune from the water. And we had planned on taking. I still have the photographer in me, and so I asked Callie to bring a red dress, and she brought a red dress. I put her in it. I brought flat.
Well, you didn't put me in it. I put me in it.
I asked her to get in it.
Okay, thanks for clarifying, Callie. It's a whole different show.
That's right.
Well, I got her out there. I brought studio flashes with me in the RV and everything, and we took her pictures. I'll have to text them to you so you can see them. But there's this beautiful reflection of her in that red dress coming off of the salt flats, and it was amazing. And then just a boondock there.
It was
the salt flat was just
cool.
really cool.
And it was sweet too, because we had our boxer Bella with us. We had to put her down in October. And so this was, not even knowing it, this was kind of her last hurrah. So to see her out there on the salt flats, just having a blast, running as fast as she possibly could at that time. And honestly, I was going to say that too. For my favorite trip was the salt flats. We were there overnight. That was it. Yeah, but it was just
it was in between two different destinations. But and then also we can't forget about the wave. We wave down in southern it's southern Utah, but it ends up in Arizona when you hike to it. but you've got to get permission. You've got to get a permit, and they only allow about 50 people a day to hike out to this wave. But if I think you guys have seen it, but it's issue, I think it's 18. Is that right? Yeah, 18. Caly, and I don't always make it a point to put pictures of Caly on the cover. In fact, that's the only one. But she's in a, what color's your dress?
Blue. It was blue.
Yeah, she was in a blue dress. And I took her a picture of it. If you've ever seen the wave, do you know which one I'm talking about? It's this wavy picture. I'm reaching for one to see if I've got one. I do have one.
You do have one.
I don't know if you can see it in the camera.
Well, for our listeners, I'll describe this for you.
Yes. I have seen that.
It is a sand dune that looks like it literally looks like she's being overtaken by a wave as she's walking in this blue dress. That is,
that's exactly
and
it.
So now you guys will have to send us that picture, and we will put it on our social media.
Yes,
absolutely.
RV Life Podcast, Instagram, and Facebook. Okay, so
now I just gotta throw one more great thing out there that we had this year is we were in a place, and it was a brand new. As a matter of fact, we signed these people up for Harvest Host. We stayed at his brother's house or his sister's house earlier that month, and it was in Bonacqua, Tennessee.
Oh.
And we're here at this Harvest Host in Bonacqua, Tennessee, and the gentleman that owns the place came knocking at our door one morning at like 7:00 in the morning. Gotta come, gotta get out. So we run out. What's going on? He's like, get your camera. You gotta come with me right now. I'm like, yo, dude, I gotta get dressed first. And he's like, get your camera. We gotta go. So we got ready really, really quickly. Patty had to get her cup of coffee.
Amen.
And
nothing happens. Yes,
nothing happens.
Nothing happens without the coffee. But
amen. Amen.
Your story. Yes.
So we get in his side by side, and we go out to the field where he has, I'm going to say 60 or 70, a herd of longhorn cattle.
Oh, cool.
And we're out there with these longhorn cattle. And he said, that one right there. And I'm like, yeah, what about it? She's going to have a baby in the next 15 minutes.
No way.
So we sat there with the camera
for 2 hours.
As
labor goes.
And we actually filmed it. We do have a video of it on our YouTube channel over at Exploring Through Our Lens. But I will tell you, it was an experience like swimming with the manatees. It was an experience that you just don't get very often.
Yeah.
And that's what's so great about Harvest Host, Boondockers Welcome. And that's what's so great about this lifestyle.
Right.
Yes.
Right. As we told you guys this year that we actually have started to sell off everything in our home. And we were planning in sometime April listing our home and moving into our RV. And we've and I know this is kind of a little bit cliche in the RV space anyway, but we kept saying, memories over stuff. And as we're getting rid of these things that we've acquired over the years and we really, really love, we keep saying memories over stuff because that's what life's all about, right? It's about the memories. It's about the experiences. It's about who you're with. Quick story. And I went out west, and I'm sure a lot of you that are listening probably have done this, but I went out west and I was seeing this beautiful place by myself. And it's just not the same when you don't have someone to share it with. It's just not the same for me.
It's not.
Anyway. Right. And so
I agree. I'll say like Kelly does. Amen to that. It's interesting because Dan and I were just talking about that. We were in Disney, and we're walking around and it's like, years passed before you lived in an RV. You'd be like, oh, I want to buy that. I want to buy that silly little knickknack. Not that it's that silly, but when you live in an RV, you have to pick and choose knickknack stuff. It just,
Right.
And so, we really we don't feel attached to stuff anymore. It's really kind of nice.
Free.
That we don't
It's
have
liberating, I'm sure.
And it's been liberating going through this process, like, picking up something and going, wow, I really don't need this at all whatsoever. And yet I've kept it for 15 years.
Well,
it's time for it to go.
Yeah. And this is going to sound very pretentious, and I apologize because I'm not a pretentious person. I love watches. Watches are my thing. I'm a collector of watches. I had 27 watches. It's like, how many can I really wear in a day? And so over the past 3 weeks, I sold 22 watches, and I traded in 5 of them for one specific watch that I've been dreaming to have my whole entire life. And so I was able to kind of get it to the point where I could just had to throw in a little cash by trading in actually it was 5 watches I traded in for one single watch. But anyway, it's like you acquire the stuff. And we were gone for 2 months out in Florida when we were at the show there with you guys. And it was like, I didn't miss a single one of those 27 watches at all.
Right.
So what's the point of keeping them? And so it's a paradigm shift. It really is.
Yeah, for sure.
Leave it to you, Randy, to tell a story about watches, which is a very sore subject with Patty and I. Many, many years ago in a previous life, we were with a network marketing company, and we were the top salespeople for the year. And we were awarded, what kind of watch? What are those big? Rolex watches. We were awarded each a Rolex watch. But somehow or other, in this great system that we have, we were in London at the time when we came back to the United States. By the time we got back to the United States, Customs decided that we didn't get our watches.
Oh, no.
So we still, to this day, don't have those 2 Rolex watches.
You gotta be kidding me. And they have jumped up in value big time, Rolexes, over the last, say, 5, 6, 7 years.
Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, they've really...
Rub it in, buddy. Just keep rubbing it in. There you go.
They're like bubblegum machine.
I would go back and try to smuggle them back in.
Yeah, no, that's it. And again, it's just not that important.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, with that,
yes.
with that, we have to get to a commercial because we don't have the Rolex watches that are worth a fortune right now. So we got to pay the bills. So we'll be back right after this.
National Indoor RV Centers with over 1,000 motorhomes available across multiple locations. National Indoor RV Centers continues to provide an outstanding, hassle-free motorhome ownership experience. National Indoor is the #1 Newmar dealer in the nation and also features brands like Integra, Winnebago, and much more. Visit NIRVC.com and become a part of the National Indoor RV Centers family.
We are definitely part of the National Indoor Centers family. And that's not just because we are special. It is because that's how they treat people. And if you want the experience of a lifetime picking out a motorhome, you want to be at the Music City Motorhome Expo. It is June 4th to the 7th. This year is the first year, and they are going to sell out. I was just on the phone with Brett Davis, the owner of National Indoor, and I'm sure they're going to sell out. There are going to be people on the waiting list. But what's really cool about this event is they will have manufacturers from every different motorhome company. So companies like Integra and Tiffin and Newmar and Winnebago and Gretsch. So your Class C's, your Class B's. But what's cool about this event, it is a 4-day event. It's a 3-day event. And you will get to drive any of the brand new 2025 motorhomes. You get to drive them. You get to sit in them for as long as you want to sit in them. They said, if you want to sit in them and you need food, we will bring you food so you could really be in the coach, feel it, decide what coach is right for you. Again, this is an amazing event. It is going to sell out. So you're hearing it on the RV Life podcast for the first time. If you're interested, go get your tickets. There will be a link in the notes below so you could click on it and find out more about this incredible event.
Now, this event is the brainchild of Brett Davis, who, in my opinion, is the most knowledgeable person in the RV industry that there is. He literally sleeps with spreadsheets under his pillow every single night. And I have to tell you, that information just seeps into his brain. He knows about registrations, about where people are buying RVs. He knows what kind of RVs to buy. So he sat down with himself one day about a year ago and said, what would make the buying experience more valuable to the customer? Not to the manufacturer, not to the show promoter, not to any of that. He is so incredible as a human being.
Committed to the customer.
And committed to the customer. So we are excited that we will be at this event. We'll be doing the RV Live podcast live to tape from the event. We're going to talk these two into being there because it's definitely going to be an RV destination from this point forward.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's looking to keep this thing going for years. All the manufacturers are supporting it 100%. As most of you know, we talked to Newmar quite a bit, and we were talking to the president and CEO, Casey Tubman, is excited about this event, is excited about being at this event. Lee Tiffin from Tiffin Motorhomes, he just did a piece on social media saying how excited he is for this event and how he will be at the event.
Ken Walters as well did a piece.
Ken Walters from Jayco.
All three of them did, yeah.
Oh, my God. It was just really, really, this event is something that if you want to be in the motorhome space, if you want to be an RVer, this is the event to go to.
Yes.
If you're not sure of what RV to buy, just ask me or go to this event.
Right. Now, you know, again, we're putting links and stuff like that. Guys, Randy Caly, tell us where to send our listeners. Where's the best place to send them so they can get in touch with you guys, the magazine, the whole 9 yards?
Wait, I know.
Yeah.
What?
Randy aloneinafield.com
/ Montana. So if people can go out to our website, which is www.rvdestinationsmagazine.com. There, they're going to find all the great information about us, our writers, the magazine. We have a podcast there. We've also got a lot of really good free resources out there. I know some folks out there getting into the RV life, it can be a little expensive and maybe you're not quite ready to commit to the magazine. We have a lot of great free travel information out there on our blog. We do top 10 PDFs to different areas all across the United States and up into Canada. So it's just a really great resource. Again, that's www.rvdestinationsmagazine.com.
Why don't you share the podcast discount code? Not to, again, do a shameless plug, but we set it up for podcast listeners. Do you mind if we share it?
No, go ahead. The bill's in the mail.
All right, perfect. Well, for any of those who get out to our website and you're like, this is amazing, I want to subscribe, we're going to give you a discount. Just use the code PODCAST20. That's podcast20 at checkout, and you're going to save 20% off any of our subscriptions. And our subscriptions include both digital and or print. So we have a subscription to meet every type of need out there, whether you're old fashioned like me and want that print copy in your hand, or you'd rather download it onto your iPad or check it out on a computer.
Yes, that's great. And you know what? We've all made fun of, promotion and, sponsors and stuff. But I think for the four of us, we genuinely love what we do and what we're putting out there and the people that we're putting plugs out there for. And this is what I hope our RV listeners for both of our podcasts are looking for. And if we could share a discount, we always love that. So thank you. 20% off, and the code is podcast. And again, that will be in the show notes.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Are we ready for thank you guys for doing that. Are you ready for the question of the week, Dan?
Am I ready for the question of the week?
We are. We're ready.
I'm ready for the question of the week. So I'm going to press this button. And my favorite thing, that big old air horn from Explorer 1 comes up. And that means it's time for this week's question of the week, brought to you by Open Roads Innovative Tolling. Our question this week from social media.
And we've talked about, that toll pass, and it is in the show notes. But the question is from Lauren T., and she's actually from right here in Orlando, Florida. I have been sort of mentoring her as she starts her RV journey. So she said, I'm new to RVing and I want to know how you decide where to go and how long you stay. And we did talk a little bit about this, but we're actually going to throw this question to you guys to answer. How would you answer, Lauren?
Go ahead.
And I'm giving that to you. I'm pointing to you.
No, go ahead.
When she points at you, that means it fills up your brain with all kinds of useless information.
Gotcha. So, we use a couple of different things. And, one, we talked about this before, shameless plug on the magazine, but we do use our own magazine for inspiration on deciding on where to go. But a lot of times it just depends on, are we looking to beat the heat? Because the summer is just miserable where we are. So we're going to maybe head up a little bit north, a little bit further. Is it wintertime and we're trying to warm up? So we want to head south. So we use, just kind of depending on what's going on that year. We also plan trips around different RV destination magazine events that we need to be at. So we'll plan trips around that as well, just to kind of have fun. And because it is expensive to hook up your rig or drive your rig out to a location. So we try to maximize on that area while we're in that area so that we're not just, driving 17 hours for one city to turn around and come back 5 days later.
Agreed. You have something to add there?
No, I was just thinking she is so well spoken.
She is. She did that very well.
It just boiled down to I was paying attention to the question and he was not.
No, that is not true.
Wow, way to call him. And remember, guys, we did tell you before we started this podcast that we don't edit anything.
No, I know
right.
So there it is.
I understand that.
You've got our listeners have us all in the raw. So thank you. That's a great answer. And again, that how long do you stay is what are you doing? I don't know what
in the raw. You got to start taking off your clothes.
So how long you stay in an area. Again, that's one of the questions that's really dependent on the person,
right.
How much you want to be moving around, where you're at, so while it was a question, I think we covered a lot of that. And it's a very individual answer.
Can I add something? So now you got my little brain cells going here. So we've got actually over here to my right, you can't see it, but we've got a map of the United States and Canada. And what we did is we took what is that called, a compass or protractor, where you have the pen on one side and you take the pencil.
That thingy.
Yeah,
that's protractor, right? I'm going back to sixth grade and I can't remember it, but so we put the pen part on our home, and then we drew out what was it?
It was like 100
miles.
mile and then 250. We actually kind of planned it out for days. If we could get like a long weekend versus a week versus we need 2+ weeks.
Yeah. So I think it was like under 200 miles and then like 500 miles and then like 1,000 miles. And then we said, okay, we're only going to do places for a weekend in the first circle. The second circle, we're going to do a week. Third circle, we're going to do 2 weeks, and anything outside the end circle, which just like the tips of Washington State, California, up into Canada, deep in Canada, that's more than 2 weeks. And so we've kind of followed that, and it works pretty well because you don't want to have a week and try to drive 2,000 miles from Kentucky out to California. It just makes no sense.
Right.
And Callie tells a story.
I love that.
For 4 or 5 years now about a time I miscalculated.
It's lucky we're still married. Is all I have to say.
So we had a business event up in Seattle, and we live in Kentucky. As I guess your listeners don't know that, but we live in Kentucky. We're in between Louisville and Cincinnati, and so. And
I go to my loving, wonderful husband. I'm like, honey, how long is it going to take us to get to Seattle? He looks at me. And he goes, my love, it'll take us 2.5 days.
Yeah,
and I looked at him and I'm like, are you sure about that? He looks at me and says, yes, babe, just 2.5 days.
Yeah. And
lies.
We were driving. We drove 2 18-hour days. And I mean, we got very little sleep, and then reeled in about 2.5 days, about what I said, but she was getting ready to kill me. The dogs were getting ready to kill me. It was terrible.
It was terrible. We got there and I'm like, I can't see you for a long time. You need to go away.
Yeah. And then the campground was terrible to put on a boot on top of everything. But yeah, it was, we don't make that mistake anymore. Now we've got a hard line at 8 to 10 hours. We stop and we're done.
So 8 to 10 hours a day, that's your driving.
And I push more for the 8 hours, at 10 hours, because it's hard. And for new RVers out there, you'll learn this. When you're putting in those big, huge, long days and you stop, what you forget about is your your body and your brain is still going.
Yep.
You know, you're literally like vibrating from all the road noise and it's really hard to shut all that off, get in bed, fall asleep, wake up at 7 a.m. and do it all over again.
Right.
So it's important we have learned to get into a location, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, wind down, have dinner, take a walk, watch a movie, watch TV, whatever it takes to just kind of, okay, we're ready to do this again tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, it's I learned that I sleep terrible the first night because exactly what she said. I'm still vibrating, I'm anxious.
Right.
When the first day we pulled in after a long drive. And so it's really not till day 2 where I sleep good.
Mm-hmm.
I even know my heart's racing all night just because all the anxiousness of being on the road. But I don't know if you two feel that, but I know we do.
Well, you have a much newer unit than ours. Ours is a 2002.
Mm-hmm.
So, 2002.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that driving an old girl like this, it adds another layer of stress. So when I get someplace after an 8 or 9 hour day, I am done.
Yeah.
So we try to stay places for at least 24 hours, meaning 2 nights.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get there and then we try to stay one more day, just because it just seems to make sense. And, we're not getting any younger. So
that's a road I don't want to walk down.
I know, especially with
time for that one,
especially with Randy.
Yes, but that's a good thing. And to your point of making those circles, so just to make life easier for you, and we're gonna, share a RV Life pro tip with RV Trip Wizard. They have the circles for you.
Yes.
There you go.
They made the circles. So you just go on, and that could be our tip for the week. But RV Life Pro, when you have where you're at, you could set your circles at whatever miles. So there's a red, a yellow, and a green circle, I think it is. And you set whatever miles you want, and then you know exactly which circle, where you want to be, where you want your destination to be. So you can get rid of your protractor.
That's interesting because Patrick talked about the circles on our podcast. We had him, Patrick with RV Life, for the listeners that may not know who he is. But we had him on our show. We talked about the circles. And I completely forgot about that, though you just said that. So we're going to have to try that next time we're on a trip on our RV Life Pro Wizard.
Mm-hmm.
RV Life Trip Wizard.
Trip Wizard, I'm sorry.
It's real convenient, too, when you're out somewhere. You can see those 3 protractor lines on the map. When you're not at home, you can see how far to go from where
we're
you
just
are.
guessing when we're out on the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I have one other question I want to talk to you about the magazine.
Sure.
Because I have this image, knowing Randy now, we got to spend a week together at Tampa. So knowing Randy a little bit and then seeing him here on the podcast on our screen, I have this image in my head when you're laying out the magazine of Randy sitting in the Hugh Hefner bathrobe on your king-size bed in that Winnebago, looking through all these pictures. So Caly, tell me, is that the way it happens?
It is, absolutely, 100%. He's got a big fat cigar in his mouth, and the robe is, shamelessly partially open down his chest, And we've got the magazine sprawled out on the floor. No, not at all. Thankfully, it's all done through this incredible program that we have. Times have changed so much. So it's literally all laid out digitally, and we're able to send it to our printer in digital format like that. And then they take it from that digital file and create the paper file. So it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Sorry that I burst your bubble. I know.
Yeah, you bursted my bubble.
You did.
Although I might do that and take a picture and send it to him.
But if it makes you feel better,
there you go. We will share that on our social media.
He does sometimes plan and work on the magazine in his pajamas.
Now that's true.
That's a true story.
Okay. And we're not going to go down that road right now. Right, Dan? Let's just leave it go. The next time we're all together by the campfire, we'll have that conversation. Right. And
now that we've got that mental image for all of our listeners, let me give you another mental image that will get that one right out of your head. As most of the RV Life podcast listeners know, Patty and I started our RV life in a 2002 Monaco Diplomat. And within the first 6 months, guess what? We started looking for our next unit. In the last 3 years, we have worked 6 RV shows. We have visited over a dozen dealers. We have sat in, crawled through, and discussed literally hundreds of RVs. And yes, after 3 years, we have finally decided that Newmar is the brand for us.
And when he says we've been in hundreds of RVs, he's not kidding. I can't even count the number of RVs that Dan has dragged me through and sat in. And when I mean sit in, we sit there for
Hours.
minutes, sometimes an hour. Over the last 3 years, the number is countless. But what I can say with confidence is that the feeling sitting in a Newmar just felt different than any other coach. My best description that both Dan and I felt is that we were home in a Newmar. So we decided to take the step and make Newmar our next home. There are so many reasons why we love Newmar, but the top are probably the quality of the workmanship that goes into each coach, the choice of multiple floor plans in each model, and the options that are available to customize your Newmar to make it exactly the way you want it. Most important, the people that make Newmar Corporation.
There are so many different brands out there. There's so many different models and so many decisions that Randy and I have to make. But at the end of the day, Patty and I chose to do business with people, not companies. And the people of the Newmar Corporation are the people that we chose to do business with for our next home.
This is a decision we just made over the last week. And well, we've made it over the last 3 years, but finalized over the last week. And we're excited to be able to share this with our podcast listeners.
Now, that sound means it's time for today's RV Life Pro Tip. You know, RV Life Trip Wizard, the one that gives you the circles, Randy.
Gotcha.
We like the circles.
Okay.
We like the circles.
It is brought to you by RV Trip Wizard. Why? Because it just works.
By default, RV Life Trip Wizard creates an RV safe route, keeping you clear of any low clearances. If you want to see all of those low clearances on your map, choose the Research tab, then the Hazards tab, and click the low clearance icon. If you see a low clearance on the map that you think is on your route, remember to zoom in all the way. You'll find that the low clearance warning is typically on a side road or underpass that is not on your direct route. If you've properly entered your RV information, you won't be routed somewhere you shouldn't be. Seeing the low clearance warnings might be handy for routes you are considering but haven't mapped yet, or help explain why you're being routed a certain way on the map. With your RV Life Pro Tip of the Week, I'm Pat Buchanan.
Thank you so much, Pat Buchanan, for the RV Pro Tip. We talked a lot of tips with Randy Caly today about RV Life Pro and Trip Wizard. And we want to thank Caly and Randy, and now we have Charlie there with us. We want to thank you so much for being on. This was such a fun podcast, and I hope our listeners enjoyed it as much as Dan and I did.
Well, I hope they did too, because we went 30 minutes over our normal length for our podcast. But that's okay. That's okay, because it was just interesting for our listener.
Well, we hope.
You guys are so great. We just really love having you on the
thank
show.
you so much for having us. We really enjoyed it as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
We did. So now we think it was a great episode. Caly and Randy think it was a great episode. We would love for people to leave a review on any of the podcast platforms that you choose to listen on, or reach out to us on social media, the RV Life Podcast, Instagram and Facebook. And we want to thank our listeners for being our listeners and supporting us.
Yes. And, leaving a review, leaving a thumbs up, whatever it is,
There's no
it really, really helps. anything that you can put into that review field really, really helps us as a podcaster. You're listening to the RV Life Podcast. I'm Dan Hunt with my incredible wife, Patty Hunt, saying have a great rest of today.
And an even better day tomorrow.